I'm Mark Small, it's Civil Discourse Now for July 28th, 2022. Usually I'm political on here, or at least somehow biting edge or something. But I had to talk tonight about what it was like to be a kid in 1970s, early 70s. 1970, especially that summer, we had to paint about 2 miles of white board fence on a farm where nobody was living. And I was being paid $1.35 an hour. Two other people were working with me. And it was the first, I worked before my parents' construction company and done odd jobs and everything, but this was the first time I did an 8-hour day for anything. And when we went out there, and it was hot, it was very hot. And of course, in Indiana, it's the humidity. My old man said, whatever you don't, just rest during lunch. Don't try to, play football or anything like we're going to do that anyways. It's really hot. And we're out in the middle of the country. There's nobody around us. So we started out, we had a big thing for the water. It was like this big canister thing. And we'd freeze in a gallon thing of milk, a milk container, freeze a gallon of ice or water for ice, then put it into that water cooler the whole day. And one guy they're called boom boxes at one point. This is pre-boom box. It was just a big radio. We had WLS on. And we started out scraping the old paint off the fences, and it was really heavy, humid air, just the way Indiana is. And we started out taking our lunch at 11 o'clock in the morning, but then that made the rest of the day so long. And we ended up later taking lunch at like 2:30, because in that way it wasn't so bad. You'd listen to WLS, and they had like the super jocks on there, and they would go through the top 10 hits basically in a given hour, and then one or two oldies and one or two new things coming up, and the rest was radio ads. Nothing like it is now. It's so many ads, and it was $1.35 an hour, and that was like pretty good money in that period of time for kids out in the country. I remember they had just brought in the first convenience store near us. It was about a mile away from my parents' farm. And I had a 3-speed knockoff of a Schwinn Stingray. It was a Murray, but it was a 3-speed. And we'd ride about 5 miles from my parents' farm into the edge of town where the convenience store was in Kokomo. It was a mile going the other direction to a gas station. And there were two gas stations in West Middleton. One was Max Chapman's. We had a conventional Coke machine. But Spike Crail's garage had one of these really old things. It was marked Coca-Cola on the side. It had this well of really cold water. And you had the bottles all sticking up, the necks sticking up out of the water. Yeah, like Mason's root beer and Fanta cream soda and stuff that you don't really see very often anymore. But at the convenience store going the other direction on the edge of town, they had one aisle that was nothing but sugar and caffeine, and ding dongs had just come out. And they came in aluminum foil wrappers. So we would take part of the money, I'd take part of the money I made painting fences and spend it on sugar and caffeine and what have you. But it was that summer was just so, and then we baled hay, we did other things to make money. But by the end of the summer, I'd got a couple $100 together and spent that on index cards for doing debate and what have you. But it was that idea of being out there, and it was so hot, and it was so miserable in some ways. And now it's hot, it's as humid. Being out there and listening to WLS was just, you went through every hour, and the Carpenters close to you had just come out. They were big. And looking out my back door by Creedence Clearwater Revival. There were a couple of others. I can't remember the titles. But anyways, this is late July, soon be into August. This is about the time that we were doing that whiteboard fence. It didn't matter. I mean, we painted that whiteboard fence and then sold the property and semi-tore all the fence down, put in a trailer park. So, cut down some trees to put in a parking lot. Mark Small, Civil Discourse Now for July 28th, 2022. Peace, love, happiness, freedom. Nano. Take care. May the force be with you, at least some of the time.